The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Logano has chosen the outside line. Kyle Busch on the inside. Green flag back in the air. Overtime presented by Credit One Bank. Look at how hard the 18 is going into turn one.
Kurt Busch to the outside.
Kyle Busch gets the lead. Here comes the 20 of Eric Jones. Jones on the inside. He'll try to take the lead as they go down the backstretch.
Kyle sidetracked his brother Kurt. That could be all Jones needs. Can he? Oh, look at Kyle Busch driving down into turn 3.
Can he hold it? 4 wide and into the wall.
Down
That
the
was
front
Chase
straightaway.
Elliott. Side by side, here comes Kurt Busch. He takes the lead away from his brother. But now, Kyle Busch fighting back. Contact made as they go into one. The Busch brothers, side by side. Tire love by Kurt Busch. Kyle Busch now fighting on the inside. Once again, Kurt Busch making that outside line work.
What does Jones do here if these two get together?
Coming out of turn 4. Kurt Busch with the advantage. Kyle Busch slides. Kurt Busch will win.
What a finish!
Unreal.
That was awesome.
Welcome to episode 117 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Tuesday, July 16th, 2019. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, gotta love the exciting finish, huh?
That was awesome, man. Late race restarts, they are the best. They really, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't. And I just don't see these epic calls coming from Fox. No offense to Fox, but I don't know. Just the NBC group seems to do a good job. NBC did a great job turning the audio up, letting you hear the cars, letting you hear the fans. I'll tell you, the fans I was standing on pit road for the finish. I couldn't hear the fans over the cars.
Yeah.
But they did a good job of cranking it up on the broadcast and letting you hear them, and it was pretty cool. People were into it, man. They were excited.
Yeah. They got a good cadence to their, just the way that they deliver those last, few laps.
Right.
They're really good at, I feel like Alan's a great director, and he just kind of lets Junior go.
Yep.
And it all flows through. It really is. They really do a good job. You are correct. Those late race calls are fantastic.
It's pretty good. This one reminded me of Chicagoland last year. And, I pulled it up and was going to cut it down and do the last lap. But it's like, man, the whole thing's good. I've got to do the whole 2 laps. So
Yeah, it's perfect.
NBC and NASCAR on their YouTube page also has a clip of the final restart with the Spanish announcing team. I almost used that.
Did see that. Yes.
That was pretty good too, but the U.S. call I think was better this time. A lot of times the foreign calls are better, but not this time. I think this time Ricky Allen, Dale Jr., those guys had him beat. So I don't know I guess we talked about it last year when Kurt won Bristol, but Kurt's a fan favorite now.
Yeah, he's it's so weird. And he's in the underdog. He's become the underdog as well as a fan favorite because he's driving for Ganassi now, and it's just weird. And he's maybe trying to get a little bit of payback against Stuart Haas and
Right.
going up against Kyle. He's got a lot of storylines he's fighting at one time.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and it was cool to see the battle of the Bushes. We've seen glimpses of it, but never really had an all-out duel between the Busch brothers, and we got that on Saturday night at Kentucky. If you couldn't tell from the call there and you didn't watch the race and you don't know what happened, Kurt Busch did get the win over Kyle, beat him about a couple feet between the cars. They weren't side by side at the line, but Kurt was just
They were close,
couple
yeah.
feet ahead of him. It was a good finish, great finish, green white checker right at the end. We got a battle before that with Joey Logano and Kyle. Kyle was leading, and Joey tracked him down and got past him. And I know we said last week, I think I declared last week or the week before, that there's no reason to keep talking about this aero package. But I just wanted to beat it home one more time that this package allows you to race down the leader and pass him. And there were times Saturday night where it was a little concerning. Are they really going to be able to pass the leader? but you can, and it's been proven again. And no, it doesn't create 4-wide racing every lap, but I don't think anybody expected that. And you know, there were people posting on Twitter about it on Saturday night, and it's like, they were like, I think Bromberg was one of them. Don't confuse the few laps after a restart with making a race better. But my argument is if the first laps after a restart are better and the rest of the race is about the same, it's certainly not worse, then it's better. So it's better, guys. I get it, but this is the direction we're going. I think I've been pretty happy with it the last few weeks.
Yeah, I won't go as far as to say it's better racing. I'm not going to do that. I will say though that the restarts are fantastic.
Oh, the restarts are incredible.
Yeah, the restarts are unbelievable.
Now, Kentucky's restarts were a lot more similar to Michigan's in that you had about 2 laps and then it started to spread out. Whereas Chicagoland, you had 5 or 6, which was amazing.
And if Kyle Busch would have had one more lap at it, he would have gotten Kurt. You know, and probably would have pulled away, I think. But
maybe, but the thing is Kurt had tires though, and Kyle didn't.
Yes, I know Kyle was so. I just felt like Kyle was just a little bit faster.
Kyle was pushing bad. He was. I was listening to his radio after Joey passed him, and he was complaining about the push. He could not steer that car anymore, and so he didn't feel like he had a car to beat Kurt, but he sure gave it a heck of a battle there.
He did, yeah. I mean, if you know, you pick one guy in the series for a 3-lap shootout, Kyle Busch is at the top of the list.
Right.
So even with worn tires, I still think, you know, I tend to lean towards Kyle Busch, but yeah, Kurt was in the right situation, and by God, man, he made the most of it. It was a heck of a show. It's definitely more exciting when the brothers are involved.
Yeah.
That added to the drama a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was a certain level of, okay, are they going to race each other clean? Are they not going to race each other clean? And we've got some audio here that I'll play being there this weekend that, you know, we'll get into that a little bit. I got to actually ask Kurt about that. I guess to start out with, let's hit on Kyle. Kyle talked post-race. I didn't specifically talk to him, but I was there for his post-race comments. Here's what Kyle had to say after the race.
Battled it out hard. I know you're probably disappointed, but what a show you and your brother, and you both gave it your all.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do every week, you know, just came out to being a good finish, you know. Thank gosh, I guess, for a green-white checker. Those always seem to save the day. And, you know, it's unfortunate we were on the short end of the stick there, but I didn't know they had 4 tires, so that makes sense. But overall, good day for our M&M's Camry.
Was there anything else you could do? I mean, you guys raced each other really, really hard to the edge of it.
Yeah, I got him clear just by a little bit getting into 3, and I think I could have slid up in front of him, but I think if I did, I would have knocked the wall down on the exit. It was just going to be carrying too much speed for how bad my front tires were and how tight I was, you know. So we just didn't quite make the right adjustments there through the final adjustments, the final pit stop, putting right side tires on it. We got way too tight, and that's what lost us the race with the 22. The 22 got us. We were going to lose anyway, and so at least I salvaged the same place that we should have finished anyways.
One last thing, the TV analyst said, oh, it's going to be different at the Busch house at Thanksgiving, but that's how they analyzed it. True or untrue? I mean, you guys had battled each other before.
No hard feelings. That was fine. It was good. He's got to find his own ride home because I'm not waiting for him.
Really true? Yeah, but you both raced clean. I mean, there's no hard feelings, so why not ride home together? You need some time.
No, because he's going to spend 2 hours in Victory Lane. I'm getting the out of here.
That makes sense. It's good racing.
So good.
Yeah, gotta love it, right? And you know, that's something that people don't realize is like these guys, they finish up at the track and they're gone. Like nobody sticks around. That place is a ghost. Like I sit in the media center and they do the Victory Lane celebration usually about an hour after the race. The winner will come in and do the Victory Lane or the post race press conference. And I'll usually then take those quotes. Usually I've got the story written by that point. I plop in the quotes from that and post my story. And 2 hours after the finish of the race, you go out on pit road and it's a ghost town. I mean, there's a couple people packing stuff up, but for the most part, everybody is gone. And when you win a race, everybody leaves without you. I mean, we played the audio, or I can't remember if we played the audio or we talked about it, where Dale Jr. talked about his first win and his dad leaning in the car, and he didn't congratulate him. He just said, find yourself a way home. I'm not sticking around waiting for you. And that's the way Kurt did it, or Kyle did it as well.
I found it really weird back when we went to Michigan when Larson was in the middle of his, what was it, 3 in a row that he
Yeah.
won there, and you and I were there, and I had used the bathroom, walked out, and there was nobody around except Kyle Larson and a PR guy.
Yep.
Like the whole building was empty, and Larson was scarfing pizza, and I thought this is a whole new world for me. I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of cool.
It's very, very different. So Kurt talked a little bit in the post race press conference. There's a few questions here that you'll get. This is probably I think it's the longest clip of the show here. Got a chance to ask him a question here as well. Myself, he responds to the whole Kyle leaving thing and all that. So it starts with a question. He was asked a question about the tire rub that he had with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, we had a bump side draft rub right after the start finish line, taking the white. And so it was a matter of how far I wanted to push him left, how far he was trying to push me right. And there was a quick movement, and the two of us came together. I felt it, and then I could smell it. And you're like, oh boy, I got a pretty good tire rub, but I only have a mile to go. It's going to hold. And it's going to hold, and if it doesn't, I'm going to be yanking on my wheel to the left to take him with me.
Raina Cash with the Louisville Courier-Journal. I was just curious what, if any, what your conversation was like with your brother afterwards. Like, how do those exchanges go after races like this between the two of you?
I haven't seen him yet, but I was supposed to fly home with him, and now I'm looking for a plane ride. So that's Kyle. It's like that's he won't even wait. We shared a plane ride earlier this year. I think it was Phoenix where he won, and I had to sit there and wait for him to do his little victory lane thing. So it'd be fine. We're going over to his house tomorrow, actually, for a little get-together on a Sunday off, and I'm going to plop the trophy down right on his kitchen counter.
Eric Young with the superspeedway.com. Kyle actually said after the race that you'd have to find your own ride home. You've joked at Michigan earlier this year if things would have played out a little bit different that you would have potentially wrecked him for the win. Was there any point where you thought about roughing him up or that you considered doing that, or were you planning on racing him clean at the end?
Well, I was on the outside position, and so he was in the offensive spot to cross the line and go into that category of sparks flying, tire rubs, wrecking somebody. I was in the vulnerable spot, but I had almost zero intention of lifting in turns 3 and 4, and if I bounced off the fence, I probably would have then bounced off of him. And it was magic the way it worked out, and I think it was 2 racers putting it out on the line, and we went as far as we could possibly go without wrecking each other, and that's what it's all about. When you can have a solid finish like that and 2 brothers going at it, and to put on a show, that's the best possible outcome. You know, if both of us would have been in a pile and a steaming heap and third place would have won it, that would have been big. That would have been bad.
Now, full disclosure, I botched that question because when he commented on wrecking Kyle, it was at Bristol, not at Michigan. I was confusing him with, he made a comment about wrecking Truex if he had to get the win at Michigan. But either way, it still was an interesting answer. So.
Hey man, we're not perfect. That's how we do the podcast.
Right, exactly. Well, it's spur of the moment, man. You're sitting there and you hear a question.
You have to
and
stay
it's
on brand.
Yeah, and so now you want to try and get your question in before there's 17 other questions between you and him, the last one that you heard, and it's tough. I mean, there's some pressure in the old deadline room. It's fun.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I love me. You got a good answer out of him too. You can just tell like by his voice and his tone that he's just cherishes this one, and not that he wouldn't any other way. But man, you know, Kurt's probably thinking he doesn't have very many of these left.
Right.
Every win's going to be sweet down the stretch.
Yep.
And you know, you and I have gone over it. We thought he was going to win a race this year, just the way he's been performing.
Right.
And you know, to see that come to fruition and to have him, he's the lead dog at Ganassi right now, which is surprising. I mean, it's been Larson's team for a few years now, but Kurt's come in there and he's taken the alpha position.
Well, and that's some of what's special about it for Kurt too is that, you know, he came into this team hoping to help them out, help them get where he feels they should be. He's been able to basically go to other teams and be this, you know, figure that's able to turn their program around and get them a win. I mean, he's done it a couple times now. He came close to doing it with teams that shouldn't have had a chance to do it back when, you know, he was in between rides after the whole Penske deal. So he's, it's a big deal for him. And this is also, a lot of talk about whether this is Kurt's last season, whether it's his last full season. He's only got the 1-year contract with Ganassi. He did say, I didn't pull the audio, he did say that the plan was Monday morning to start sending out requests for proposals for next year. So he's kind of thinking, he said even if he did won Daytona, which, that's the irony in all this too, is Kurt gave one away at Daytona. His team gave one away the week before and was able to power back and get this win this week and make up for that. So, but he said even if he'd have won at Daytona, it just wouldn't have been the same. But this win, the way it happened and the way it worked out, it makes him want to keep doing it and maybe do it another year and see what happens. And all that has to do with sponsorship. It has to do with Chip. It has to do with all kinds of things. But it sounds like the cards are on the table. The only question is what's the Ross Chastain progression? Because I'm pretty sure that one car is going to be a Ross Chastain ride in the near future. So does Ross stay down for another year before he comes up to Cup? I don't think it's going to be bad for Ross to do that.
It's pretty well known that Kurt was taking a lot of pay cuts at Stewart Haas, and he wasn't willing to take another one.
Right.
And that's part of the reason he went to Chip Ganassi. So I'm sure he's getting a pretty good salary over there.
Yeah.
And if you bring in Ross Chastain, you get a good driver at probably a lot cheaper.
Sure.
So that's something Ganassi's going to have to weigh as well. That's all part of it. But I mean, if Kurt's getting results, there's nothing Chip Ganassi likes more than being in victory lane.
And Chastain did say after the race too. I didn't pull that audio, but he said after the Xfinity race that I think it was after Xfinity or truck because he didn't run the Xfinity race this weekend. Or did he? He did. Anyway, regardless, one of the two races. James, I talked to so many drivers this weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. So, but he said he's under contract with Ganassi, and he's basically does what Ganassi wants him to do right now, and he's helping out Nice Motorsports and trying to get that deal done. But Ganassi's kind of his trajectory, and that's likely where he's going to end up is in that Cup ride. I would assume down the road. I don't really see anybody else pounding down the doors for Ganassi to move into that ride, but. Again, I don't think another year for Chastain it's going to be a bad thing either, especially if they can get him. I mean, I don't know if he goes and wins the truck championship this year in a semi-underfunded team. Then I don't know.
Well, he's storming the gates with a fever pitch right now, so it's hard to say he doesn't belong.
Ganassi's in a good place right now. He can either take Kurt, who's likely going to get him a couple more wins, maybe another run at a championship, or he can take Ross Chastain, who's up and coming and likely got a pretty big future ahead of him too. So
right. Yeah, it's going to make the decision tough. It's kind of similar to that Joe Gibbs Racing situation with Christopher Bell. It's, there's only so much room at the end. Somebody's going to have to be disappointed.
Right. I've got a bunch more audio from the race. I don't know how we want to do this. We didn't really discuss it ahead of time. We can talk about winners and losers a little bit right now, James, if you want. I know you've got some comments on Stewart Haas. So I guess let's start with that. I'm going to mention Eric Jones, who got a good finish. We'll get to that in a couple minutes, though. I think probably one of them to really look at as a loser on the day is Joey Logano, who essentially had the race won. We got the late caution, green, white checker at the end, and he still got a 7th place finish, but that's got to be a big bummer for Joey as the guy who had it locked up, basically.
Yeah, he had a good day going.
Yeah.
The Fords were really strong again, and the Penske Fords obviously have continued to be strong. Joey was the strongest of the contingent. But you even saw the Roush cars again. It's not surprising, but those guys were running good. Stenhouse led a handful of laps. Newman led a handful of laps. So the Fords continue to just be strong at these 1.5s and 2 mile ovals. Man, they've been really good.
Yeah, you've got some stuff in here on Stewart Haas. Stewart Haas started out the day really well. First of all, they got the pole and the outside pole. They had at least 3 of the cars running up front. Boyer kind of suffered a little bit at one point and fell back a bit. But still got okay finishes out of the day. I mean, Boyer comes home 6th. Daniel Suarez rebounds to an 8th place finish after a speeding penalty. Mm-hmm. Almirola 14th and then on. But but what I wanted to do was just ask you maybe a question. We don't have to have a long discussion on it by any means, but Stewart Haas keeps bringing these fast pieces every single week. Mm-hmm. Suarez on the pole and Clint Boyer looked like really good, led 40 laps. Kevin Harvick typically has, one of the fastest cars on the track, week in, week out.
But why? What's going on Saturdays and Sundays that they're not getting the job done? What do you think, Eric? Is there something? Is it the rules package? Is it the driver lineup? If you had to lean on if you had to look at the whole pie, what do you think is the main problem? Is it bad luck or just what?
I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to take Clint Boyer's answer after the race Saturday night, and it's that they don't have it in traffic. When they get into traffic, they just don't have the handling and the speed to do what they need to do. They can run well up front. We saw it when when Suarez and Almirola were up front at the start. They were great. As soon as they get back in traffic, they're junk. They're done.
Yeah.
And so personally, I think it's getting a handle on this package. I think they're behind on it, and it's just not working for them. They are not able to do what they need to do in traffic to make passes to get to the front. Once they're at the front, they're great. They just can't get there.
I wonder why that is. And this package should allow for more passing. And I wonder why Stuart Haas. What the reason might be. I'm not an engineer by any means.
Probably that stiff rear window or something. I don't know. Maybe
that stiff rear window. Yeah. David Smith and I'm going to be talking about him just a little bit. He's a basket full of information, man.
Yeah.
But he has mentioned before that Kevin Harvick's issue might be the fact that he doesn't have as much drivability in the corners with the package with lesser horsepower. That may be his issue. But yeah, you hit on it right there. Maybe it is an aero issue that these guys have, that they're just not, they just go to crap, over longer runs. It's really, I've never seen anything like it that I can recall recently, where cars are coming to the track so fast, but you can almost rule them out on winning races on Sundays when they come to the mile and a half. So
I really had a feeling at Kentucky that it was going to be a Stuart Haas weekend. Cole Custer goes out and just dominates the Xfinity race.
Yeah.
And then Suarez and Almirola front row for the Cup race, and then they started the race and they're up front. It's like, oh man, this is it. It's going to happen. This is going to be it.
Finally figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just bam, got back in traffic and it was over with.
Yeah, it's just it's something we've been keeping an eye on, but I mean, I feel like we can. It's almost to the point where we can take Stuart Haas as a whole and just move them aside. You guys are not championship contenders at this point. None of them.
I think you can move 3 of them aside. I still think that
like Harvick,
you still can't get rid of Harvick, because that's with this system. He's plenty good in points. All he needs is a win, and he's back in it.
He's good in points. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And he's proven he can do well in the early rounds of the playoffs too. And I mean, you can guarantee yourself a spot at Homestead with 4 wins.
Well, and I don't want to give anything away for later in the show, but we're going to a place this weekend where Kevin Harvick, very well could come off the, get off the schneid.
That's true.
Yeah. So
you're saying I probably better come up with a different pick than him.
we might. I don't know. Todd and I were texting last night over Facebook Messenger, and he got me thinking and got the wheels turning. So I don't know where I'm gonna go yet, but that might be.
Yeah.
We may have,
with the system we've got now, with the fact that you could the whole win and you're in thing, you can't rule him out. I think the other ones you can, but I don't think that you can rule Harvick out. He's too capable of getting a win, sneaking one in. Although Harvick's been really good, and between him and his crew, they've been really good at beating themselves all year long.
Yeah.
But all they got to do is get a win. They're in the playoffs, and then you click off. Like I said, you click off 3 in the playoffs, and you're at Homestead.
Yeah.
You win.
And Homestead, anything can happen. Yep. That's the thing. But
is he a favorite? No, not even close.
Absolutely not.
Not even close. I think there's one favorite right now, and maybe we can lead into the next discussion I see on the notes here too that you added. I think there's one favorite for the championship this year, and it is Kyle Busch's to lose.
Yeah, I do too, and we thought that last year too a little bit.
True. But I think more. I think even more this year because of the aero package.
Yeah.
I think it plays, as much as he hates this package, and it's funny. He doesn't want people asking about the package, but guess what? Everybody does every freaking week is asking about the package. I'm not touching that question with a 12-foot pole.
He's the best. He's the best at it. You go to Kentucky. We're going to talk about Martin Truex Jr. here in a second. Yeah. But you go to a track like Kentucky, that's going to be a little bit similar to Homestead. And Kyle was, he was pretty good. So if they're on it by Homestead, I'm not worried about Kyle Busch.
He's
if
just
he
been
gets-
consistent. He's had a couple of bad finishes. Otherwise, he's in the top 5.
Yeah, and if there's a late race restart,
Yeah.
you know, the dude's going to be there.
Yep.
That's the way it is. He's not going to beat Kyle Busch is not going to beat himself this year.
Right. They
It's
also
just not happening.
don't screw up on pit road. They don't make
It's sound.
mistakes. They're just flawless. It's just a matter of positioning or something like, you know, just not having the right tires at the end that costs them wins. And Kyle has the ability to, I mean, the way NASCAR is now, the way the sport is, it's not like it used to be where a great driver can really overcome a bad car and still make it a good car. But Kyle still has some of that ability that others don't have to be able to do that. And I admit I'm a Kyle Busch fan, but even if you hate the guy, you gotta see it. I mean, he's able to do things with the car that other people can't do.
Yeah.
And I think the tide's turning on Kyle a little bit. I will say driver intros, he by far, as you would expect, got the largest response. Brad Keselowski was second. But Kyle, it was a 50-50, I would say. And of course I was in the press box, so maybe the booze didn't carry as well through the glass or something, but it was pretty even. But it was definitely the biggest
it's the
response.
hideous beard he's still trying to pull off that he's, you know, that fans maybe are leaning into. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Let me ask you one more question on Kyle.
Maybe it's DW praising him as much as he has.
Yeah,
it could. I mean, honestly, it could be.
The passing the torch.
Yeah.
From Jaws to Rowdy.
Yep.
So my last question for you for Kyle Busch. So I know you're confident in Kyle Busch, but let's say we get to a late race restart at Homestead. Joey Logano, Kyle Busch.
Well, and see, that's the thing, and not to interrupt you, James, but that's the thing. Again, with what we have here, Kyle is a championship favorite. Kyle is going to be in the Final Four at Homestead. Kyle's going to have a chance at it. If everything plays out a normal way, Kyle has the best shot to win the championship from anybody else. The difference is with this setup, and you know, I was thinking about it again this past week because I was talking to some people about why they don't like NASCAR anymore, why they don't follow the sport, and I still can't get behind the old system versus this system because we go into Homestead with 4 guys with the same chance. And it doesn't matter how great you've been all season. You still have to be perfect in that race. And because of that, I'm never going to say that there's even a 50% chance that Kyle's going to win the championship at Homestead.
Exactly. You can't. Yeah.
No. So
you can't.
So who's the favorite in a late race restart? Is that where you're going?
Well, I was just going to say, knowing what we've seen on these on this type of track so far this year, are you more confident in Joey Logano at Homestead or Kyle Busch at Homestead? If it comes down to one race, and again, there's a lot of dominoes that have to fall. We're playing a big what if game.
I mean, I'm sorry, with what he's doing right now, I'm not ever going to pick against Kyle Busch.
Okay.
You know, I would never. If it was my money on the line, I would put my money on Kyle Busch. You know, 10 times out of 10. That being said,
I think I'm right there. I think I'm right there with you. But
that being said, you're at Homestead. You got Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch's got a chance at winning the championship. He's in, top 4 on a late race restart. Kurt's a good bet. Kyle Larson's a good bet. Joey Logano's proven that he's a good bet.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the thing.
That's the great part about and that's really the my point is we have Kyle Busch and he looks like a runaway favorite a little bit.
Right.
But we get that championship race at Homestead. It bunches everything back up, and that's what makes it exciting, and that's why I love the championship format.
Well,
there's a little bit of an underdog story there.
Let's look at we haven't had that many winners this season. Of course, this last 3 weeks we've added 3 winners.
Yeah,
but before that we hadn't had very many winners. We got Kyle's won 4, right? I don't have it in front of me. I think Kyle's got 4. Truex has got 3.
Truex has 4.
4, okay. But so we have a couple guys with a lot of wins, but there is no clear favorite when you look at the wins. I mean, Kyle and Truex, you would think, are the favorites. But, there's been a good mix of winners despite the fact that until a couple of weeks ago, we only had like 6 winners. There's still been a good mix, and that just goes to show you how competitive the sport is right now. And all those people that say, man, we need the good old days back when it was you guys need to freaking watch what's going on right now.
Yeah, we're having this has been a pretty good season, I'd say, so far. I mean, I'm not handing out grades or anything. It's not the greatest season I've ever seen, but I mean, Kyle Busch has been completely dominant. Guess what? Joey Logano's scored more points this season than Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's and we were kind of talking about Harvick's struggles, but he's right there with those guys, and it's just been really a really fascinating season watching it play out here. And we're getting into the we're getting into the meat of the season now. We're really getting closer. The playoff cutoff is not that far away.
Right.
And it's just trying to look at some of these trends that we're seeing and what's out there, but I don't know. I think it's just leading into some really good possibilities for who knows what's going to happen, but it's going to be good run here to the finish.
I agree. Before we get, we're going to bust through some audio real quick here in a minute, but before we do that, let's give a grade to Kentucky. Kentucky, the last 2 years, has been arguably one of, if not the worst races of the year. So what do we think of Kentucky this year? Was Kentucky a good race? I know what the Jeff Gluck poll says, which is certainly a big turnaround from the last 2 years. Where do we rank it? I mean, is this? Do we say? I mean, let's give it a letter grade: A, B, C, D, E. What do we think? What do you think, James?
I'd feel comfortable giving it a B plus, somewhere right there.
I'd probably go B plus. I think pretty confident with a B. I think the ending bumps it up to a B plus, but it was by Kentucky standards, it was an A.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it was a good race. We did not have much in the way of carnage, but I don't think this race needed it, really. I mean, I think it played out pretty well. We had some long runs, we had some short runs, and we had the exciting finish. I think we got what we could get out of a Kentucky race this weekend.
Yeah, no, it was great. I think the only carnage we had was Johnson a little bit there.
Yeah, that was the closest we had to a wreck, really. I mean, Chase Elliott hit the wall about as hard in turn 4 with 1 to go. Then, I mean, Bubba blew the tire, and then
he kept going.
Who put it in the wall in 4? Didn't somebody put it in the wall early too?
Austin Dillon had a lot of struggles.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he was the one who put it in the wall. I'm trying to recall, but
I can't remember. I feel like there was a spin early, but maybe it was just a spin.
Yeah.
I'm confusing all the races. There's so many races this weekend.
You've been at a lot of races, man.
There were 3 races this weekend. I had 4 at Chicago. I was just thinking I'm going to Michigan in a few weeks, and there's only going to be 2 races. I'm gonna be there for a day that there's not a race at the end. Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
All right, let's bust through some audio real quick. I guess let's finish up the race results first. Another winner on the day, I feel, Eric Jones, I mentioned, came home with a 3rd place finish on the day, had a chance to win the thing, and with his finish moved into the top 16 in points. He's on the bubble now. Had a chance to ask him after the race what his strategy will be going forward.
What's your strategy right now?
Hold on. All right, let's try that again and hit one button at a time. Here's Eric Jones.
What's your strategy right now? Are you guys going for wins? I mean, obviously, you always want to win, but are you going for wins or are you going for points first?
Both. I mean, right now, we need points. We need we can point our way in if we keep doing what we're doing, but a win would just knock it out, right? And I thought we might get one tonight. It was close, but, we got good points. We finished 3rd. We got some good stage points in stage 2, so we're doing each. We got to keep doing each. We got good tracks coming up. We can't have a DNF, can't have a bad finish, and we got to keep doing what we've been doing.
There we go. Saturday night, we had the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We mentioned Cole Custer with the dominating performance. James, you've got here in the notes, and I can't disagree with you. He is, in capital letters, the championship favorite.
Yeah.
I think, I forget who it was, it might have been NASCAR Chasm, posted something on Twitter this weekend that he is driving his way right to the front and right into that 14 car next year.
Yeah, he's doing something, man. When's the last? So I was thinking, and I felt okay texting you during the Xfinity race. I'm never going to text you during the Cup race when you're working.
You can. All I'm doing is sitting there tweeting, man. It's good.
So I was texting. I'm like, Custer's kind of running away with this. So I figured I shot you a text. But I was sitting there thinking, Christopher Bell has been the championship favorite for what, 2 years?
Yeah.
And this is definitively, he is not the favorite right now. It is Cole Custer. He is the only champion. He's
this guy that we laughed at a couple years ago.
We did. We got to eat crow on that one.
Now, and then Custer has embraced the Stone Cold Steve Austin finisher or whatever with the beer smash in Victory Lane.
Yeah, and he fell off the car, which was
the car, and then owned it, which was pretty good. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
He's
a man possessed right now.
Oh yeah.
Gosh dang, he's got 6 poles and 5 wins on the season so far.
Yeah,
and his wins are all coming on. I mean, it's kind of all different tracks. Fontana, Richmond. He got a win at Pocono, and then you've seen him win twice here. He's got Chicago and Kentucky covered.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you bet against him, you're nuts right now.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And there's no way he's not in a Cup car next year. He's got to be.
Yeah, he made the leap really fast.
If Stuart Haas keeps him in an Xfinity car again next year, which I don't know what the contract situation is. You never know. It could happen because there's just no place for him to go. But that's a bit, there's guys. I mean, there's plenty of people that you say they need to keep it another couple years before they move up.
Yeah.
But that is not one of them. I mean, it's time for him to go up to Cup.
Yeah, him and Christopher Bell got to get in there. Like it's beyond time for those guys. They're so good. I really can't believe Cole Custer. Like he has just come out of nowhere to me. I know he had a couple of wins, but this season he's putting together is really something special.
While we're on the subject of people and coming up too fast or coming up too slow, I wanted to hit on one. I don't mean to pick on her, but let's talk about Natalie Decker for a minute.
Oh, my God.
Natalie was getting blasted pretty bad Thursday night after her wreck in the Truck Series race at Kentucky, which was 100% not her fault. I think it was Spencer Boyd that was underneath her that turned up across her front end and wrecked her and Johnny Sauter and forget who else got put in the wall there. But it was a massive wreck, really crazy wreck. But that being said, this girl needs to be in the ARCA series. She should not be in a NASCAR series yet.
She probably shouldn't even be on big tracks at this point.
I don't know. It's tough. And again, that one was not her doing, but you can pretty much guarantee that she's going to wreck every week. And I mean, that being said, I heard plenty of people say this weekend that there were drivers. I mean, if Gordon tore up a lot of cars and then, he was wrecking one every week, and look at what he became. Jimmy Johnson wrecked cars.
Ricky Stenhouse is still wrecking cars every week.
Yeah, just still is. Yep. We'll talk about that a little bit later. He is he's the number one wreckingest driver in the Cup Series right now.
There's a Tony Stewart quote or a story. Maybe I'll define it as a story. Tony Stewart tells a story where Stenhouse was racing for him for his dirt team, and basically told him, like, you wreck one more car, like we're not going to the track for a couple of weeks. We have nothing left. So it's been a Stenhouse thing too. So
all right, again, not to pick on Natalie Decker, she's a good kid, but
the hat throw thing was phenomenal.
What's that?
The hat throwing.
Oh God, that was so good. That was so good. We had two fights during the truck race Thursday night. We had Natalie Decker's sort of fight, and then Spencer Boyd put out a shirt the next day. They're selling with the hat upside down on the ground. I forget what it says on it, but they're selling a shirt and raising money. And then we had Ben Rhodes and somebody. I don't remember who the other one was fighting on pit road too.
Can't really fight anybody anymore.
No,
he's sitting in the cushy chairs now.
That would be bad for Ben Kennedy to do it. But Ben Rhodes, he was fired up, which don't blame him. It's his home track. He was expecting to win and had his day kind of ruined. And then, man, that truck race was, I don't know if you got a chance to watch truck race.
Oh, James, yeah, it was out of control.
That was carnage. I felt for Brandon Jones, who had it won, and I mean, didn't have it won, but he had the truck to beat. And was it Enfinger that wrecked him coming? Yeah, Enfinger tried to pass him and decided to just keep going. Put him right in the wall. And I thought we were going to get a fight on the front stretch right there. All right, let's bust through some audio real quick because I've got a bunch of it for us. I got a chance to talk to a bunch of drivers this weekend, and I wanted to pull some of the best things during Friday after practice. Some of the Cup drivers had their media availability. One of those was Ryan Newman. I did get to ask him some questions, but I didn't include that in this clip, I don't think, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I wanted to ask him about how he was working with the strategy because he was on the bubble at this point before the race this weekend. Somebody else beat me to the question, led to some funny Ryan Newman answers. I don't think we always get to see the humor in Ryan Newman, so I wanted to play a little bit of, this is kind of chopped up a little bit, some of the Ryan Newman interview.
Are you looking at the other? Do you race the other guys around? You look Clint's just a little bit ahead. Is 1 point ahead of you?
I race them all. I think you know that.
Well, you have that reputation. I got you.
That's what they pay me to do.
Yeah. But do you look at Suarez and Eric Jones? Do you wonder where they are during the race? Do you race them at all?
I race myself, and if I can do a 100% job, like Picker can do a 100% job, or crew chief, everybody else, and we can be 15th and not good enough. So we just have to stay focused on what we can do to make our car, our team, our performance the best it possibly can be. And then if that's not good enough, again, make it better.
Have you noticed, you were making a joke a moment ago about how hard you are to pass, and that's your reputation.
I was serious. I wasn't joking.
Well, I get you. It seems like on TV lately, they've had a lot of fun with that. They're sort of like giving you credit for it, and they see the leader coming up on Newman, they go like, okay, this can't be good.
I mean, just the way it is anymore, you can't afford to give that up. I mean, caution could come out. You got stage breaks coming. I mean, you got all these forecasted cautions that you just can't afford to. I mean, you got to race the guy that's trying to lap you, and if you're in that position, hoping that you're going to hold him up just enough that he doesn't lap the guy in front of you, and you get the lucky dog. I mean, you got to race smart, and I don't do that all the time. I mean, when there's 30 to go, I get out of the way if I can, but in the end, I'm still in that position where if I feel like I got a chance to stay on the lead lap, or the rain's coming, or something goofy like that, you just never know. I mean, we saw last weekend that anything can happen.
When did you learn that? Like, when did you switch? Did you come out of the box racing like that?
I was 3 or 4 years old.
Serious?
Oh, different box.
Where did you learn to, be so hard to pass? I mean, is that how you've always raced?
Yeah, if you don't have a great offense, you better have a good defense.
Maybe we need to up the rating on the episode this week.
Yeah, that almost needs an E on that. I was trying not to laugh, and I just.
No, go for it. Laugh at him. There's gonna be some funny stuff coming up with Clinton.
I couldn't hold it in anymore. I had to blurt it out. Gee. That's good.
I guess I've heard Newman's humor a little bit, but he was yucking it up pretty good. He had some good answers too. Doesn't like the PJ1. Doesn't like a lot of the stuff. I mean, Newman's a racer, and he's he comes from the modified ranks where there's no downforce and it's all grip and driver and all that. So of course he's not going to like a lot of what they're doing right now. So that makes sense. Clint Boyer, anytime you get some Clint Boyer audio, you got to include it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't ask him any questions myself. But before his qualifying run, he came over, was chatting with reporters. First of all, messing with Bob Pockris a little bit. Here's that.
I'm swell, Bob. Who are you listening to, Bob?
I'm listening to NASCAR.
Why would you listen to NASCAR, Bob?
I want to know if there's any lightning in the hair. No,
that was a good one. That was a good one there, Bob. It's a quick one.
How's this track with this stuff on it? Is it going to change a lot over the weekend, or do you think it's going to be consistent?
I don't know, Bob. I don't know any more than you do about that. No. In all seriousness, I think you hate to say this, but that traction compound makes a difference. It definitely makes it possible to run grooves on these 1.5-mile tracks that we couldn't do otherwise. I think we finally came across the right blend or combination of the traction compound at Texas earlier in the year. That's where it really opened my eyes up and woke me up to the fact that this ain't a bad deal. So I'm glad that they made the effort to do it here in Kentucky, and hopefully that effort will pay off for all of us in the sport.
Next up, if you looked at the track on any time this weekend, you could see it was very obvious where they put the traction compound down, because the track was almost white. The asphalt's weathered so much, and the traction compound was just black, just dark.
Yeah,
and
it was.
One of the reporters asked Clint where the most grip is on the track. So here's what he had to say.
Well, where it's the blackest is where the traction compound is. I'm teasing. It's they put the traction compound up on the top side, and the only thing, I think the only downfall of all of it, and this is just me being ADD, is how you can, it's so distinct on how you can see it. I mean, that black patch on the asphalt, it's like they just put a patch on it, like it's brand new asphalt all of a sudden up in that area versus all the white wore out stuff, which is not all that wore out. This is a new surface. So that being said, it surprises me how bleached out the asphalt is here when we come back here, but that traction compound is making a difference, and we saw it last night in the truck race, and I think you'll see it in the Xfinity race tonight. and I know you'll see it. The question is will they reapply it? Will they need to reapply it? Who knows? And if they do reapply it, will it be the same? Will it not be the same? I mean, that's the only dangerous thing about that traction compound is, yes, it moves the needle in a good direction for us, but I would think it would be, you're dealing with liquids and compounds and the speed you're putting it on and how you're putting it on. There's just so many variables on, that product. The temperature, whether it's hot or cold or how much rubber's been on it. I mean, it's definitely temperature reacted, and that's where the variations come from, the variables.
For the record, NASCAR did put more down on Saturday night and seemed to work pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say so.
James, did you ever think there was going to be a time when we started this podcast that we'd have this much driver audio?
It's
podcast?
awesome.
Isn't it great?
I love it. I'm just sitting back, relaxing, just listening to some good stuff. I'm basically a listener tonight, so I'm along for the ride.
So one of the drivers that I got the chance to actually talk to this weekend and ask a few questions to was Bubba Wallace. So one of the photographers posted something on Twitter Thursday night during the truck race, praising Bubba for coming out and shooting photos. And I've seen him do that a few times throughout the season. He'll go out Friday night or Thursday night or whatever during one of the truck races, the Xfinity races, and shoot some photos. So I hung around after his qualifying run. My whole goal for post-qualifying was to get Bubba Wallace and ask him about it. Didn't quite go the way I'd hoped it did, but he did answer a couple questions about it, and then I asked him a couple other questions as well. So here's my conversation with Bubba Wallace. Daryl, did I see you shooting photos during the truck race last night?
Say that again, I'm sorry?
Did I see you shooting photos during the truck race?
No, that was my cousin.
Is that something you do regularly? Is that something that you enjoy doing?
I wanted to, and the schedule kind of allowed last night. I might go do it tonight. It's too hot, though. I'm sweating already just thinking about it. But yeah, it's a good time. I'm just trying to get back into it a little bit.
Hobby of yours?
Yeah, I've been doing photography for a long time.
What's it mean to have Victory Junction gang on the car this weekend?
It means a lot. Every weekend we show up with it. It's cool. It's special. I mean, you just think about the kids every time and think about Adam's dream and what he wanted, and having the King here and Kyle here. Seeing it kind of fulfill and live out right in front of their eyes is pretty special. So, for us, it's cool to just go out and put on a show for everybody that loves to see the 43 on track, and all the fans in the stands, everybody watching on TV. On NBC, it's special. So for all you watching and listening, be sure to text Bubba to 36413 to help donate. I'm getting that down, so that's good.
Bubba, the truck series going back to Eldora in a couple weeks. You've got a win there, obviously. I'm sure it'll stir up conversation again about a cup race on dirt. Is that something that you'd like to see down the road?
Hell, we're trying to get us to Nashville, so I think we need to get us there first, or get us to Iowa first. Worry about dirt. I don't know. That'd be sick. I would do it. That's the young guys. The old guys would want to do it. You get too dirty, get their shoes dirty.
Isn't Bubba like the guy you just could have a beer with?
Yeah, you can just sit there and chat with him, man. That's the thing, and like it's funny because he comes over there and like people don't swarm to him right away. So like you just get a couple minutes with him if you want, and it's crazy. But he's chatty, he doesn't give the Clint Boyer 20-minute long answers. But
he's short and sweet, but he's honest about his answers, which I appreciate.
Yeah, well, speaking of that honesty, and then we'll get to the last little clip here. Clearby Lane came over, and first of all, everybody's asking Bubba about the football. Is he going to throw a football around this weekend? Blah blah blah. First of all, he said NASCAR took the football from him from Daytona, and I think he signed it, and it's going to the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
I was going to say they take it to the R&D center.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they confiscated it.
No, it's going in the Hall of Fame, so he's got to get a new football. But of course, weather was good, didn't have to worry about it, no rain. But he was getting questions about who's talked to him and blah, blah, blah. So Clearby Lane came over and started asking about the football. Here's what Claire had to ask and his responses.
When you were throwing the football, people were saying you went out when the lightning was out there, but NASCAR said you didn't. NASCAR said that when you went out, there was not a lightning thing, and then when they did notice it was, they told you and you came in.
What's their policy? Is how many miles does it have to be within? 8 miles? Okay, lightning was within 8 miles, whatever. And we have to wait 30 minutes, so when you're getting the chant, "We want Bubba," I'm not going to disappoint. I'm going to show up. Hell, strike me with lightning. Hell, take me out of my misery. Shit, I went out a badass way, throwing football with the fans. So hell, whatever. Yeah, the AMR guy comes up. He's like, "You got one more throw." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You got one more throw, then we got to get you in." I'm like, "I'm not going anywhere. Y'all have a good day."
Really?
So.
One of your one of your catches was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's Odell Beckham style right there. So I'm still waiting on the phone call from him, see if he needs any tips. But I surprised myself on that one.
Do you think you're better than you? I mean, maybe you should have pursued football.
Hell no, I hated football. I played when I was like 5, and I hated practice because it was like at this time of the day, and I hated it. I did not enjoy it one bit.
So Bubba picked the right career choice. So
yeah, I'd say so.
All right, that's most of my audio. We got one more thing coming up in a bit from Kentucky, but that's most of the audio from Kentucky Speedway. So good time for sure. Got to, like I said, talk to a bunch of drivers. Got to check out some things, and one of the things I got to check out, James, was the M&M's Glamp Ground.
I'm so excited.
So I full disclosure, when I went to see it, it was on Thursday, the day of the truck race, and it was not open yet. They were in the process of setting it up. It was mostly set up from what I could tell. They had kind of a sample tent there that you could see at the front to see what the experience was like, but they still had boxes in there and stuff, and it wasn't all unpacked. So I don't have a full-on view of it. I was going to go back there Saturday or Friday or Saturday, but just didn't get a chance to get over there. Plus, it was so freaking hot that I didn't really feel like walking all the way over there to get to it again.
Yeah.
That, I think, was the biggest issue with it, is the heat. You know, the picture they had showed the grass down underneath it. There was no grass. It was all like a gravel, crushed concrete type thing. But, you know, I did tweet about it a couple times over the weekend and had people reply. Had people, that were interested in doing it in the future, and had other people that were there that replied to it. And the people that experienced it seemed to really enjoy it. I saw a couple videos on it as well from people that were there. And everybody had a good time. I guess the biggest thing was during the day it was hot, but you're not in your tent during the day anyway. And once the evening rolled around, they had a fan. It was comfortable, and they had all kinds of parties and stuff going on out there. They had appearances. Kyle Busch, I think, was out there. Samantha came out. I believe the crew chief was out there. All kinds of stuff going on out there. I know Kyle Petty was out there at one point. He tweeted from it. So got pretty good VIP experience. They got food. I don't know. I mean, I guess it wasn't. I would have liked an air conditioner, but you're in a tent, so you can't really expect that. It's not M&M's fault or Kentucky Speedway's fault that it was 90 degrees during the day.
It wasn't Firefest?
No, I don't think it was Firefest. It happened. It was there.
It was a thing. It was a thing that happened.
It was a thing that happened. If it was in Chicagoland, it might have been a Firefest because the storm would have blown it away. But
yes, yeah.
But no, I don't know. After seeing it, I'd still rather stay in a hotel.
A lot of the official photos I've seen from it, like I think Joe Gibbs Racing put out one. Their pictures are very, very close to. It's not a wide shot by any means.
Right, and I mean the thing is though is and I wasn't able to quite gather whether it's $500 a couple or $500 a person. But even at $500 a person, this gets you into the track. It gets you a place to stay. It gets you food all weekend. It gets you driver appearances. It also gets you a pit pass. It's worth it. You know, even $500 a person, that's a pretty good price for what you're getting. I mean, it's not, you're not paying $10,000 to stay at this thing. If you were, then you'd expect a more luxury experience. Maybe the fact that they're calling it Glamp Ground leads you to believe that it's luxury, but it's not luxury. It's just convenient.
I don't think glampers stay in tents, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, maybe the naming choice was bad. But hey,
Yeah,
it got
it is what it
attention.
is.
It got attention.
Yeah,
There was a lot
good
of
for them.
attention.
I mean, M&M's put some money into it.
It was
It's a cool
very,
thing.
very
Give it a try.
visible from the stands. You could see it. You knew it was there.
If they would have taken notes from Fanatics, they would have told them NASCAR fans and tents do not get along.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I would rather be around those tents than the Fanatics tents.
Ah, yes. I totally agree.
All right, let's bust through some news real quick, James, because we are running long as we would expect. You got in here the 52 truck will not receive any further penalties. I see it's a tweet from Pockrass, right?
Yep, tweet from Pockrass. So Friesen violated Section C of the rear firewall rule. Basically, yeah, NASCAR's got the truck still though, so that could be a problem. But other than that, yeah, they're good.
Well, Friesen had some interesting comments after the truck race about it, and I didn't get the full clip because I was walking up to it as Claire B was asking about it. So I don't know the whole gist of it, but basically he said that they don't pick the trucks. The trucks are provided by GMS. GMS gives them the trucks, and he was very critical of GMS for giving him that truck. that had the issue, and basically said that the team put them in a bad place, that they were having to play catch up all weekend, and he still came home with, I think, third place finish, or it was top 5 at least, in the truck race. So they still managed to do it with a backup truck, but I mean, basically got him the attention and negative attention, and made him have to pull out a backup truck. They missed the start of practice because they were getting it ready, and so he put the blame on GMS and not on his particular crew. And I don't know how accurate that is, but he was pretty vocal about it. It was interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to leave my. I tweeted about it, and I'm just going to leave it at that on my thoughts on Stuart Friesen.
All right.
But yeah, kind of interesting deal. I think I don't know. Was it really that big of a deal? Was it more of a safety concern?
I think it was a safety thing more than anything, which is part of why that there's not more of a penalty to it.
Yeah, I think going to the rear of the field is probably penalty enough, and the fact if they still have that truck, that's going to put a strain on the team. So
the absolute best thing about the penalty is they confiscated the truck. They stuck it next to the NASCAR hauler with a car cover on it. When practice started, they pulled the cover off and let everybody come up and look at it, because that's the way NASCAR does it. You break a rule, they put it on display for everybody to see what you did.
Pretty cool.
And all the crew chiefs were coming up, taking pictures of it and seeing what it was. So that was neat.
Yeah, and probably learning a few things too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Article on The Athletic by James's buddy David Smith this week.
The man. Yeah.
Crap, I forgot to log in first. Hold on, let me log in so I can actually read the article. Which Cup drivers crashed the most and why? I already gave it away earlier, but who would you think, James, is the number 1 crasher?
Well, you already
in the Cup
said
series?
it. How about if I guess number 2, since you already said number 1?
Yeah, guess number 2. Have you seen the list?
I haven't seen the list.
Okay, yeah, guess number 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess number 2.
So full disclosure, while James thinks,
I will say Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon is pretty far down, actually. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is number 1. Austin Dillon is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th.
Oh, he's on the list. Okay, so I'm not that far off. Okay. Number 2.
I think you're going to be really surprised. I'm actually.
Would it be Kyle Larson? Would it be Kyle Larson?
Kyle Larson is 3rd.
Dang. Okay, who's number 2? I can't.
Eric Jones.
Wow, really?
Eric Jones has a 3. Now, this is over 3 years, 2017, 2018, 2019. He has a 3-year tally of 35 crashes. Stenhouse has 47. Kyle Larson has 31.
Wow.
Next, Clint Boyer, Michael McDowell, Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Austin Dillon, David Reagan, Trevor Bayne. Trevor Bayne only has 2 years. He's got 25.
Still on the list.
Yeah. Denny Hamlin, Suarez, Blaney, Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Brad Keselowski, Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch, Ty Dillon, Chase Elliott, Jamie McMurray, Danica Patrick. Of course, she's only on there. She has 21 crashes in 1 year on this list.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, I thought it was a pretty interesting list. Dale Jr. has 14 in 1 year on the list.
Dang. Wow.
He's down there quite a bit. I skipped a bunch in between him and.
Yeah. Trevor Bayne and Danica Patrick being that high and running a season and a half less than everybody else is not surprising, but.
Right. I'm not going to give away I gave away that list, but there's all kinds of statistics and stuff in this article.
Oh yeah, he'll throw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I won't give it away. You guys subscribe to The Athletic. I think you should anyway, just to support what they're doing for NASCAR right now with him and Gluck and Bianchi. So go subscribe. The link's in the show notes to get to the article. I know they've do a little search. They've got all kinds of deals for first signups, so you can sign up for like half price. Look around, but I won't give it all away. Go and subscribe and read that. So, one more audio clip that I've got here as a result of this. NBC Sports launched its Grassroots Racing Tour in conjunction with NASCAR. I skipped one, but we'll go back to that. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. No, I'm in the right order.
Yeah,
anyway, where the heck is the article? I don't even know where it is. Anyway. So anyway, they launched this deal. Basically, it's there's a link in the show notes to their article, trying to get fans from NASCAR to go to their local tracks, trying to get people from the local tracks to go to NASCAR races. A lot of drivers were asked about it this weekend. It was introduced, I think, on the 8th of July. And one of the drivers that was asked about it, Claire B. Lang, asked Christopher Bell about it, and I also got to ask him a little bit about it as well. So here's what Christopher Bell had to say about the Grassroots Tour.
I think it's a really, really cool deal, and it's a great concept. I hope that it draws attention and it works the way that they want to get local race fans to NASCAR tracks and NASCAR fans to local tracks.
What would you like to see happen? I mean, what do you think would help in that?
I think just more crossover, right? More guys that run NASCAR to go back and run their short track stuff. And, it's kind of tough for local racers to get on the NASCAR stage. But I think the biggest thing is for NASCAR drivers to go back and run at their local tracks.
Is that something that the more the drivers need to put an effort into doing, you think, or is that something that the teams need to lighten up a little bit on and let the drivers do that?
It's tough. I can only speak for myself, and right now Joe Gibbs Racing, gives me a lot of freedom to go race. So I don't know what the answer is for all the other drivers, but it's definitely fun whenever you see that crossover.
I like those hard hitting questions, James. Doesn't it sound like I know what I'm doing?
Yeah, you boxed him in there. That was good. Yeah, I had a feeling he was going to wiggle out of that one, but that was good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he can't talk bad about. Joe Gibbs lets him go around the sprint car quite a bit and lets him wreck the sprint car quite a bit too.
He's got a lot of freedom.
Yeah, so which I don't know if I was trying to get Christopher Bell to drive for me, I think I'd probably give him a lot of freedom too.
Yeah.
But
it's the old Tony Stewart model, the old Smokey Johnson out there running late models.
There you go. A little bit more news. NASCAR likely going to change the wheel size in the Gen 7 car. Exclusive, according to Jerry Jordan, on Kicking the Tires. Link is in the show notes, but looking at running a bigger diameter on the tires, which would also likely allow them to increase the width of the tires. Not much known about what that will do for handling, et cetera, obviously with the new car and all that. Trying to bring it more in line with production cars again. I don't know that we really care about this a whole lot. Just, again, it's just another look at, we're going to see a lot of changes to the Gen 7 car. They're starting to dig their heels in a little bit, and sounds like it might be coming a year later than what we were expecting.
Yeah.
But as long as we're not getting another car tomorrow, I'm okay.
Are the tires going to wear out faster?
That's what we need. That's what we need. We needed that this weekend at Kentucky.
All I want. That's all I want. I want tire wear.
Yep. We need to wear some tires out. Which I give. Let's reevaluate that at the end of the season, because I can't blame Goodyear for being overly cautious with tires with this new package, because they don't know what the package is going to do. But now that we're going to tracks for a second time, we should have a better idea. Hopefully they'll run some softer tires at some of these tracks, and maybe we'll see more tire wear. My hopes are high. My confidence isn't, but my hopes are high that will happen. So let's revisit that at the end of the season and see if we
We've been hoping for softer tires from Goodyear for but the better part of a decade and a half.
I mean, we could always get soft tires from Hoosier, and then they would just blow every other lap. So
yeah, we don't want that.
Anyway, Sterling Marlin going to be back racing soon. He was supposed to race this past weekend. Had some mechanical issues, or maybe it was this weekend he was supposed to race. Had some mechanical issues and has backed out, said he will return to the track soon. Just had his third brain surgery, I think it said.
Yeah.
For Parkinson's.
Yep, he's fighting the fight.
Yep. Good to see.
Yeah, he's good to see him back out there. I saw Matt Kenseth was won over at Slinger.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
so
didn't he spin somebody to win too?
It was a bang. Yeah, it was good.
It's all right. When you're Matt Kenseth, you can do that.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Wreck Joey Logano, for God's sakes. I mean.
Yeah, he's a champ. He's got the pedigree. He can do whatever he wants.
There you go. Any news I missed, James?
That seems to have covered it, sir.
Okay, it's been quiet. Still quiet in the news. It feels like something's going to break big soon.
Yeah, we have had some slow news this last couple of weeks.
Can't complain. We've had so much to do on the podcast that if we had news, we'd
you wouldn't know what to do with it.
2 hours freaking long.
Yeah.
This weekend we go to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It is the Foxwoods Resort Casino 301 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I will not be there this weekend. Actually, won't be back until Michigan in a couple weeks. But James, you get the first pick at New Hampshire. I think you already previewed where you're looking, but let's see what you got.
It's time. Kevin Harvick, get it.
Harvick, okay.
Yep, go get it done, man. If he's gonna be a championship contender, like, this is an opportunity. Go get it. Enough fooling around.
Okay. That's funny. Harvick is pretty far back on the average finishes there.
He is the defending race winner.
That is true. He pushed Kyle out of the way to get the win.
Mm-hmm. And we're not running the lower horsepower package, right? This is
Yeah, this is a mile track, so it's the
Yep.
big horsepower and the high downforce.
And that's kind of my thinking. I like Harvick with that package a little bit
Yeah,
better.
that's probably good point. I'm gonna go off of the average finish list, but I'm not gonna go with the guy at the top of the average finish list. I'm gonna go Kyle Larson. I'm gonna say,
Ooh.
the teammate got the win this week. Kyle Larson backs it up with a win, New Hampshire. So
Riding the momentum train. I like that.
there you go.
It's very good there. Not bad.
Yeah, dark horse. I get first dark horse pick.
Yeah, there's a good one staring right at you.
Is there?
I think so. I think he still qualifies.
Suarez?
Yeah. He's good there.
He is good there. I mean, he's only got 2 top 10s. I mean, he hasn't
3 starts, 2 top 10s, and average
no
finish
top
as well.
5s though.
No top 5s, but solid.
I'm gonna go a different direction, and I'm gonna go with my new pal Ryan Newman.
Ah, that's a good one. Yeah, he's good there.
He's
got a lot of wins there.
He's excited about going there. Yeah, I mean, if Newman wasn't in the car he's in, he could never be a dark horse. But I think he's a dark horse.
Right. Yeah.
This is probably the least dark horsey track for Ryan Newman, but he's still a dark horse.
Yeah, and he's going to run the modified race, I think.
Yeah, he
this
is.
week as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, who am I going to go with?
Well, you tried to talk me into Suarez.
I did try to talk you into Suarez. I don't know if he qualifies anymore. Though. I don't know. Well,
if Newman qualifies, Suarez does.
He's on the verge.
He doesn't until he gets that win, man. He qualifies.
Well, I'll take him then.
All right.
What the hell? Take him.
I want him to get the win. Whoops, spell his name right.
Yeah, he's on. I feel like he's in a vulnerable spot. Like he needs to possibly do a little.
He's gonna need to do something here.
Yeah.
I don't know what his contract situation's like, but I would say if he doesn't get something this year, he probably is gonna be pretty nervous next year. I mean, not saying he's gonna be replaced next year, because I don't think he is. I think he's gonna be there a couple, regardless of what happens. But I think he'll be nervous. But again, we don't know what his contract is. So
yeah, and Todd and I were texting. I mentioned former, or I guess not. Well, former's not the right word. He could possibly co-host again.
Yeah, he could.
One of our co-hosts, Todd, was on a while back, but him and I were texting, and he had asked me, who do I think from the outside looking in on the playoffs would be able to sneak in, and Suarez was one of those guys. I was thinking, he's on the outside looking in. He's a good shot, but also Ryan. I mean, like Ryan Newman. I wouldn't be surprised if he won. But those are 2 guys I feel like are, if they needed a win to get in, I don't feel completely non-confident in them. I think they could pull it off.
Right. I want to look real quick here at where everybody is.
Todd's always got good questions.
Yeah, the thing is, and there was a lot of talk on Sirius this week. Once we get to this point in the season, we usually have what we're going to have for our playoffs.
Yeah, and it's close. So Newman's 2 points out behind Jones. Jones is holding it down, and then Suarez is just a couple more points behind. So it's a really tight bubble, and then it's a little bit of a leap to Stenhouse, and then a little bit more of a leap to Paul Menard.
Yeah.
Stenhouse wouldn't surprise me either if he snuck in there somehow. He's
would
more of a
surprise me.
reach.
I would be surprised over Stenhouse. Newman, I don't think Newman can point in like he used to be able to.
I don't know who's gonna fall out. That's the problem. Like unless Johnson completely loses it or Jones.
See, the way I'm looking at it is the only way one of these guys is getting in is with a win.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't think Newman can point in because I think they're going to need a win to get in past what we got
it's gonna
right
be
now.
close. I mean, if it stays
Jones,
like this,
if somebody's going to fall, it's going to be Jones or Boyer.
I think Jones is going to be trending upward though.
I think so too. Boyer, you never know.
Boyer
honestly, if I had to pick somebody that's out to go in, James, I think I'd go Menard.
Oh my God!
I really think I would.
Because he's driving the best car.
I don't know. I think he's driving maybe better, and I mean, we still have the Brickyard.
That was a fluke.
I don't think it was a fluke, though. I know you think it was a fluke, but I don't think it was a fluke.
Yeah, well, anything.
Okay, so we got the Brickyard and we've got Michigan, which he's run well at Michigan too.
I'd still take Suarez over him. I still think he's in a better situation.
Yeah,
he's
you're probably right. You're probably right.
Don't try to coerce me into giving Paul Menard any credit. I will not be swayed by your peer
The more
pressure.
you don't like Paul Menard, the more I like him. So it works out for me.
Just remember that interview And that time that you text me, I get it now, Jimmy.
Yeah, Michigan win. That's what it was. He won the Busch race or Xfinity or Nationwide or whatever the hell it was at that time. Won the race at Michigan and was just griping in victory lane. It's like, yep, I got you. I'm with you now.
Yep.
I'm on board. So before we get into shout outs, I wanted to point out that I don't think I talked about it on a podcast yet, but I've tweeted it a couple times this weekend. I had it on Facebook that so far in the NASCAR Cup Series races that I have covered, I have never seen a repeat winner, James. It's
Fantastic.
never happened.
Yeah.
You've
got the stink on.
I thought this weekend it was going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. You almost had the KB show.
Yep. Almost.
So. You got the other KB show.
Yep.
The Kurt show.
Yep. So
I think Michigan's going to be the spot. You're going to get a repeat winner somewhere.
I can't believe I have not gotten a repeat winner yet.
Yeah, Logano's going to win Michigan, and you'll have your repeat winner.
Yeah, I don't know. Logano or Harvick, if Harvick can get his crap together.
You were there when Brad finally got it done.
Oh, man, that's who I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Brad to get one in.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a Brad Keselowski win. I think the post-race would be fun with Brad.
Yes, it would.
All right, shout-outs, James. Who you got?
I caught a show that I know it's been around a while, but I was up early watching some basic cable and 3 Wide Life. Have you watched 3 Wide Life?
Nope.
It's very good. Just a motorsport.
It sounds like Racing Wives. Is that what it is? Kind of the same.
It's not Racing Wives. No, I'm not going to shout out Racing Wives. But three Wide Life is just it's a good, solid interview show and covering the Cup Series and other forms of racing. But
this is a TV show.
Yep, TV show.
What
It was
channel
on. It was on Fox.
Okay.
It was early in the morning, man. It was like 5 a.m.
Huh. No, I never heard of it.
No, but they had Chase Briscoe on. It was a good interview with him, and I don't know. I just thought the guys did a good job. So anyway, keep an eye out for 3 Wide Life on your. I guess it would be your local Fox network.
There, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, before we jump out of Kentucky, one thing we didn't discuss: William Byron's penalty.
Oh yeah.
What'd you think of that? So William Byron got a jump in the start penalty because he took off before.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was leading.
Just pretty ticked off.
Yeah. So here's okay. Since
I felt like it was.
Okay, so here's my take on it.
I'm on the fence on it, really.
My take on NASCAR's penalties right now is they need to lighten up. In that, right now everything is black and white, and I don't think it should be. I think we're too black and white on some of these penalties. So, for example, I am the race director at a local short track, and at that local short track, we have a restart zone, and the leader goes first, and the leader is supposed to be the first one to the finish or start-finish line on the restart. Once the leader goes, everybody can go, but the leader has to go first. That being said, somebody goes before the leader, and they give the position back. They're good. They've served their penalty. They're done. It's over with. I think this is one of those instances that Byron backed off. He didn't get an advantage in the end. NASCAR should say, okay, he backed off. He gave it back. Good.
I agree with you. I agree with you. They do need to be black and white to a certain extent. However, in this instance, I agree with you.
I think the pit road penalties are ridiculous right now, and I'm not a Denny Hamlin fan, but Denny Hamlin keeps getting screwed on these penalties. And so here's something I observed at Kentucky that bothered me, and I tweeted this during the race. So if you come into pit road and before your car is within 2 stalls, you accidentally slip over the wall and put your hand on pit road, it's a penalty. But when there are cars on the track and other cars are driving down pit road, but your car is not pitting, there's no wall between the track and pit road. Kentucky does not have a giant infield. The guys are out on pit road, pretending to run around the car, warming up, sweeping up pit road, down on their knees, cleaning up oil on pit road. How the hell is that allowed? If this is for safety,
here's why it's allowed. It's not on TV.
Right.
And
that's the thing. If this is for safety, then preach safety and don't let them over the wall.
NASCAR's number one concern, and you probably know this better than anybody, is the Twitter. When Twitter sees something, NASCAR freaks out and panics.
Yep.
And that's what they're doing with these penalties.
Yep.
Better get this call right because Twitter's going to lose their minds.
Yep. So much that they added a ton of freaking cameras so they can watch every pit road and review it on video. Got rid of NASCAR officials, and instead you do it with cameras. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox. I've got a couple shout outs. Mine are not people. this week, but I am holding in my hand right now, James, the Racing Electronics Legend. Are you familiar with the Legend?
You filled me in a little bit, but go for it.
So this thing is awesome. Anybody who's been to a NASCAR race in the past few years and has looked at the scanner rentals knows that you can get a thing called a Fan Vision. The Fan Vision has gone through a couple iterations. It was originally Kangaroo TV, it was called. And then it became the Fan Vision, and then it was this clunky thing, and then they changed it to where it's a little less clunky, but still really clunky. And basically what it is it allows you to tap into the video feed. There's all kinds of stats and stuff you can get on it. But it was clunky. You had to use the buttons on the side and whatever. So last year, I believe, they released the Legend. And what this is it's basically an Android phone. And it's got a nice big wide screen. I think it's like a 6-inch screen or 6.5-inch screen or something. No, not 6.5-inch screen, probably 5.5-inch screen. Anyway, nice HD screen. But it's an Android phone, and the phone has an app on it for Fan Vision, and it has all the technology in it for Fan Vision. So I get all the Fan Vision stuff. It's all touch screen, so I can tap through the leaderboard and everything during the race. I can watch onboard cameras. There's things you can click into to see, who's running around the driver that you're looking at. It has the scanner ability through the fan zone, so you can listen to the different drivers. You can set priorities. It also has an analog scanner built into it, so I can take this anywhere, not just a track with Fan Vision, and use the scanner. It's got a stopwatch and other little things in here, but the biggest thing is the scanner and the Fan Vision. And the Fan Vision's pretty awesome. So it is another $17 race to use the Fan Vision. So you have to pay a subscription for each race. That kind of sucks. I mean, it was a $300 device. But if you go to a lot of races, it's pretty darn awesome. And if you don't go to a lot of races, I highly recommend you try renting one and check it out and see if it's something that you like. If you don't use a scanner at the race, you guys are missing out. There's so much to be gathered from the scanner, especially if you're at a race the second half of the season. Because what I always did when I sat in the stands, now that I'm in the press box, it's a little different because they have the broadcast on. I would program all the cars in, and I would switch over to them if something interesting happened to hear what they had to say. Otherwise, I listen to the TV broadcast. You can get their frequency and listen to the TV broadcast. And being a broadcasting person, I like to listen to the behind the scenes, and you can hear the director and stuff telling them what to do. There's a certain channel you can go to and listen to the camera director telling them when to switch cameras, which is neat. But you get so much more information from the TV broadcasters than you get from anything else at the track. So you always know what's going on when everybody around you has no clue what's going on. That being said, Fox, from what I understand, encrypts their signal now. And so during the Fox races, you can't get the TV broadcast. But the NBC broadcast you can still get. Racing Electronics has the frequency. If you use one of their scanners, they pre-program it for you. So anyway, highly recommend the Legend. This is not sponsored. They did not even give me a deal on it. But it's a pretty awesome deal. So other thing I wanted to shout out is if you are on Twitter, you have likely seen, or Instagram, you've likely seen in the past day or two, everybody going crazy with this stupid age filter thing that makes you look old. I don't know if you've seen it, James. I know you're really big on social media. I
have seen this.
So the NASCAR Twitter is pretty entertaining because the drivers are tweeting pictures, or people are tweeting pictures of the drivers with this age filter on looking old. And it's pretty funny. So anyway, it's worth checking out, and then deleting your phone and Twitter and everything, and being a much happier person. Speaking of which, Twitter went down during the race weekend at Kentucky for a little bit on Friday, and I was freaking lost because everything I do at the track revolves around Twitter.
Right.
That sucked. One other thing that I want to shoot. What the heck was the other thing? I had one other thing to shout out. Tweeted during the Xfinity race that the Toyota Supra that was pacing the field was pretty darn awesome. Cool looking car. And Toyota gave me a retweet today, or reply today, saying that they are glad I'm a fan. So shout out Toyota Racing.
Eric, who else liked one of your tweets this week?
So I knew I was going to probably get some traction with this, and I got probably more retweets and likes over the weekend because of this. So this past weekend at Kentucky, a bunch of the drivers actually 55 drivers across the 3 series wore skeleton gloves for Dale Jr. and the Dale Jr. Foundation and Nationwide Kids, or whoever, I don't remember who it is that does this. To raise money for it, they wore the skeleton gloves. They signed them after the race, and they went up for auction. And so I retweeted, Tyler Reddick's was the first one that I saw, retweeted it. I believe I got a like from Tyler Reddick on it too, but I also got a like from somebody, what's his name? Dale Jr., Dale Earnhardt Jr., I think.
Dale Jr.
So I got a like from Dale Jr. I got a reply from Dave Moody this week. Who else?
Have you and Dave Moody settled your feud?
Nah, he doesn't know we have a feud. I'm still hot and cold on Dave Moody. I still love Dave.
So for the listeners out there, this is good. Eric and I have this game of who's the most famous person that's either retweeted us or liked one of our tweets or followed us.
Yeah.
And Eric is now firmly in the lead. He's got Jimmy Fallon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in his pocket.
Did I tell you that I got a Jamie Little reply at Michigan?
I did not know you got the Jamie Little reply either.
I posted a picture of Jamie Little on.
I did see that
on Instagram, and she replied back. So that was cool.
Nice. See,
so, yeah.
You're way out front on our Twitter game. I gotta get my game back up.
Got to get your crap together, man. We can talk about the stupid fantasy league real quick if we want. We skipped it last week because it was terrible, and this week was equally as bad.
Nobody wanted to hear about it last week.
I mean, you finished third, James, so that was pretty good. Scoter's got the win at Kentucky. Freight Train, which is Todd, got second. I got fourth. Thought I was doing really good. I had it all set. Who did I take? I took out Kurt Busch to put in freaking Daniel Suarez, and that was a mistake because I would have probably won. Hurricane Ditka, Justin 713, and Ranger Runyon were our. Actually, Justin and Ranger finished tied for sixth place,
which is great.
Tie for fourth. I got a tie with Hurricane Ditka for fourth too.
Yeah, those guys are all leading our point standings. So anytime they finish in the back, we're making progress.
There you go.
Good.
All right, fantasy's stupid.
It is stupid. I don't know why we even talk about it anymore. No, I'm just
James, where can they find you on social media if they want to chat with you during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. Check that out. We've got a bunch of articles from Kentucky Speedway, including Chicago and Michigan as well. Upcoming Michigan race will also have a bunch of articles. So check those out. Click on them. Read them. Share them. Love for you guys to read the things. We get a lot better stats on the podcast than we do on the articles. So I bust my butt on race weekend to write those things. Otherwise, I could be sitting there with my feet kicked up. I'm working hard at these tracks. So hit those up. Check them out. Also, if you missed it, last week's podcast, we had the regular podcast last week, and then we had a special one, which was Barron Speedway interview with the creator of the track. Barron Speedway, the 164 scale 0.4 mile racetrack on Instagram. Is pretty cool. So check that out if you haven't. Give that a listen. Let's see. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. If you like what you hear, you want to help us get to the track, visit us at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. You can become a patron, get involved with the show, and help us out in the process. Did I miss anything, James?
I think you covered it, dude.
There we go.
You covered everything.
There we go. We go to, well, I don't, but NASCAR goes to New Hampshire Motor Speedway this weekend for whatever the stupid race is called because it's a ridiculous long name. Foxwoods Resort Casino 301 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We'll be back next week.
Don't forget that one. Yeah, that's important.
We'll be back next week to discuss it, break it down, and preview the following race. No bonus podcast this week. I played enough audio during this week's podcast, so we're good there. We'll be back next week to talk about New Hampshire. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.